Hello and welcome to DVB English News. I'm Joe, and this week's headlines. Myanmar citizen in Israel refuses to return home. Civil society groups call on UN to take action against the military. Senior Kachin Independence Army officers killed in airstrike. Human Rights Watch finds military responsible for attack on IDP camp. Sangra Maran is a Myanmar migrant worker in Israel. She sat down for an exclusive interview with DVB to discuss how her life has changed since the Hamas attack on October 7th. Her job was put on hold as Israel escalates its war on Hamas and Gaza. Sangra Maran told DVB she has concerns about her income. She now spends her days seeking safety in a bomb shelter. But she said that she would rather stay in Israel than return home to her family in Myanmar. Sangra Maran added that life in Israel is much better than in Myanmar. She criticized her home country as neighboring Thailand has repatriated its citizens from Israel. But she would refuse to return given the insecurity and war in Myanmar since the 2021 military coup. At least 440 civil society organizations, or CSOs, issued an open letter to the UN General Assembly on October 17th. It called on UN member states to take action to hold Myanmar accountable under international law. This statement follows last month's warning from the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, detailing military airstrikes, artillery, and arson attacks against civilians. The CSOs accuse the international community of failing to take action to stop human rights abuses after the UN Security Council adopted its resolution in December 2022 condemning violence in Myanmar. It recommended the UN Security Council adopt a resolution to refer Myanmar to the International Criminal Court, or establish an international criminal tribunal to hold hearings on alleged war crimes. It called for immediate economic sanctions and an arms embargo against the military. Senior Kachin Independence Army officers were killed by airstrikes carried out on the KIA Brigade 9 territory in Pakant Township on October 16th. The KIA spokesperson Nabu said that the military also fired artillery shells on Anangpa village of Pakant Township. Nabu added that the assault may have been a retaliation for a KIA attack on a military column that reportedly injured senior military officials. Over 60 people were killed in an airstrike on a Kachin Independence Organization anniversary concert at Anangpa in October 2022. Richard Horsey is the senior Myanmar advisor at the International Crisis Group.
We've obviously seen a small number of really horrific atrocities. Airstrikes are in their hundreds already this year alone. And so, the typical airstrike is not the one, which terribly kills large numbers of civilians. The typical airstrike is one that has, a smaller death toll, destroys infrastructure, kills a number of people, and doesn't get reported, outside of Myanmar reporting channels very much. And so I think while, the world is aware of some of these really serious incidents, there isn't a general awareness of this, the sheer number of airstrikes that are being launched against civilian targets in many cases.
That was Richard Horsey, the senior Myanmar advisor at the International Crisis Group. Human Rights Watch determined that an airstrike carried out by the military was responsible for the death of 29 civilians at the Munglai Hkyet Internally Displaced Persons, or IDP camp on October 9th. HRW experts interviewed witnesses and reviewed photos and videos of the aftermath. The investigation found that the debris and damage was consistent with the effects of high explosive bombs delivered by aircraft, corroborating a similar finding from Amnesty International. Regime spokesperson Zalmin Dun claimed that the blast was caused by an explosion at a KIA storage facility. And that's all for this week's headlines. I'm Joe. Stay tuned to DVB English News on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple, and Google Podcasts. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.